Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Zoom at 8. My name is Julianne Peterson, and I am your host every Tuesday night for Zoom at 8. You know, we have been here for over 6.5 years. We've been doing Tuesday nights, and some of you have been here for that long. You know, we bring industry experts, and tonight's going to be just as incredible as most of our Tuesday nights are. We bring these industry experts to share either a product, a service, a talent that will be beneficial to you and your journey, let's call it, in multifamily. I am a loan officer for Old Capital Lending. You know, we are one of the biggest brokerage firms in the nation. We close about 8,000 loans so far, about 1.2 billion a year when a lot of things are flowing well. The last couple of years have been more challenging per se, but we really focus on multifamily. So we will bring in investors, we'll bring in, property managers, we'll bring in, sponsors. So when you work with Julie at Old Capital, I can put and help you get your team across the finish line. And with that said, I'm open and hopefully can help you with any of the deals that you're working on today. So we're going to look at your T12, a rent roll, the offering memorandum, and your underwriting, and we'll go search it out for the right product. So most of the time, we want to put you in a non-recourse agency loan because those are the longest and best deals out there to finance these properties. But we'll do bank, we'll do bridge, we'll do agents, life co, CMBS. So there's lots to choose from. Well, let's get on with the show because my girl in glasses, look at that. We are great competition there, Keeley.
I was gonna tell you, I have an eye twitch, and it's like
Oh,
y'all think I'm crazy if I took these off. I've had too much computer time today, so these are my
Oh, no,
glasses.
I love the glasses. So anyway, I want to introduce Keeley Hubbard, who is a passionate sales coach with a track record of over $800 million in revenue and 18 years of experience in sales and executive leadership. She has been in the financial education industry since 2010 and has been raising private capital since 2014. Keeley is also a managing partner of Texas Legacy Vines. You know, it doesn't have to always be hard assets. These are grapevines, which is the largest grapevine development and operations in Texas with the $20 billion wine industry. So there are lots of different areas that you can capital raise, and Keeley is the ticket to helping you be successful. She helps people feel confident to master powerful conversations that build trust, raise capital, and create lasting impact. So let's welcome Keeley to Zoom at 8. How are you tonight, Keeley?
I'm wonderful, and I just love everything you do, Julie. You're a true gem. I think everybody knows that. So thank
Well,
you for
thank
having
you.
me.
Well, thank you so much. Before we get started, everybody, if you go to the right side of your screen, there is a thing that says view. If you can make the view the speaker view. That way you see me until Keeley starts to speak, and we'll give her all of our attention. Instead of watching somebody who might be zoning off and doing some computer work, let's give Keeley all of our attention. So, Keeley, you've been here one time, two times, I can't remember. Every time is spectacular. I walk away with more details of how I can be a better capital raiser, how I can build relationships, how I can be positive about the challenges of capital raising. So I'm excited to have you back to give us some tips and tricks and really help those people in the room as well as who are following this, after we will send you a YouTube channel. If you guys haven't looked at the YouTube channel, Zoom at 8, you got to go there. Keeley will her video will be there. You'll be getting an email every Friday. You should be getting an email from me. So let's give all of our attention to Keeley. Keeley, give us your backstory. I mean, I understand you've been doing this for a long time, but how did you get here?
Well, it's yes, it has been a long road. Just sales in general, I feel like sales years are like dog years, so 1 year for every seven is what it feels like sometimes. But I've been in
Yeah.
commission only sales for more than a decade. And, that's what entrepreneurship is, as well as building from the ground up. Doesn't matter what you did last month, you're starting over at zero on, October 1st. And what are you going to build today? But I love the hunt. I love the thrill of sales. It's my passion. What I hate about sales is what everybody else hates about salespeople. And so I learned early in my career that I did not want to be that person. I remember when my sales career really took off, my family bought a franchise of an education company. I was full-time sales role. I was the only salesperson. The entire family was on the payroll. So it's like, if I don't sell, dad can't make payroll, like your brothers and sisters, right? And your sister-in-law is pregnant with your first nephew. And it's like a lot of pressure. And so I remember going to corporate sales training. I was like, okay, good. I'm going to learn how to do this. And I sat in corporate sales training and I just like this huge pit, like in my stomach of, oh my God, I can't do this. And what they were teaching was so cringy. And everybody was like taking notes, like it was amazing sales advice. And I'm like, this is insane. Like I have too much self-respect to say these types of things and do these manipulative things to people. And I
Yeah.
respect my potential clients too much as well. And I was like, I want to sell from a place that I'm proud of. And I want this to feel like a private, exclusive experience. I want this to feel like a Rolls Royce dealership, not a used car lot. And so in that moment, I realized I've got to figure out how to do this on my own. And so through a lot of lost sales, lost deals, figuring it out how to prevent objections versus overcoming them, which is the traditional sales approach. I rewrote my sales system, was very successful at it, climbed to the top of the sales ranks, took that system, took it to corporate. We grew the company from 40 million to 220 million in about 3 years was the run rate. And we did it with integrity, honesty, in a time when Yelp and Google reviews were coming out and things were very sensitive around that time. And the company was getting a bad rap because of salespeople. So that's really where I come from, is in the trenches. And I don't just teach capital raising. I'm in the trenches with you. I raised over 25 million last year for a fintech startup, and in an environment where I wasn't even allowed to send out marketing materials, no recordings, no decks, no emails. I couldn't even tell them who the founder of this tech company was. So when I give you advice, I'm telling you, I'm in the trenches. I've done it. I've done all the hard stuff. And so hopefully what I share with you can help you avoid those pitfalls and just the struggles. And my disclaimer too, if you're okay if I give a disclaimer, Julie,
Oh, sure.
who knows this about me? I'm the gal that's going to tell you what you don't want to hear. Okay. So I'm going to bust some myths, and you're probably going to be like, man, I wish I didn't come tonight and hear that. But I don't want you to struggle in certain aspects of capital raising and think there's something wrong with you just because you don't have the right expectations about what it really takes to raise big money. So if y'all are okay with that, I'm just not a sugarcoating type of gal. Okay. I'm just a straight shooter from Texas. My family said that for years. Like, you could soften that a bit, but I think people appreciate a very direct approach. So if you're okay with that, I'm just going to tell you like it is. And hopefully you can feel maybe more free once you have some truth about how this stuff really works.
Yeah, I love it. Saying it like it is always my mantra. I love it. Sometimes it hurts people's feelings, but one thing that I love about you is you send out emails and they are eye-catching. The color, the things that you are doing really make sense. And I go, that makes a lot of sense. Oh my gosh, how come I'm not thinking of this? So, whatever you're doing, however you say it, it is effective. So, I'm excited to have you give us some tips and tricks about the trade. It doesn't have to be what you're telling us is it doesn't have to be just, investments. You could sell potatoes, right? You could sell toilet seats, right?
Yeah.
So, all
Once you
right.
master, I feel like sales is a life skill. I mean, it really is. If you can learn sales, you will never be without income. You will never struggle in your life if you can learn sales. And I've had a lot of clients that have come through capital raising coaching and have other businesses, and they start to see like, man, this correlates in this conversation. I'm like, what I'm teaching you is what I've done for years in high ticket sales. It's the same conversation with investors. So if it requires a conversation for money to transact, that's my wheelhouse. And I want y'all to feel proud of your conversations. I don't ever want you to feel like you're bothering people, you're nagging them, you got to convince them, persuade them, justify your deal. Like, we're not available for that, especially at this point in my life. I turned 40 in July. I'm kind of like, I just, I've started, I've started making decisions, or like, I'm not doing that anymore, right? You kind of start getting this attitude of, I'm going to do things my way, and I'm going to bring in the dream investors, the dream clients, build a dream business, and I'm going to do it my way. And so I'm going to give y'all some strategies that I know you'll be able to apply right away. But most importantly, it'll make you feel good about your business. Because if you feel good about your business, you want to talk about it. You don't have that angst and that anxiety when it comes to picking up the phone and calling investors. So, Julie, how much time do we have, by the way?
You know what? Let's go for 30 minutes and then let's reevaluate it. I want as much as we can get from you. So if it takes all an hour, we'll do it.
Well, I will give you all as much as I can, but I do want to leave time for questions, because I know that a lot of stuff can be accomplished when you've got real questions around what you're really dealing with right now. All right. So I mentioned I was going to bust some myths first. I want to do that first before we dive into this, because again, I want you to have the right expectations about how capital raising really works. Marketers love this industry. And I would also say marketers have attacked our industry because they sell to our ego that all you have to do is buy this list of, accredited investors. You just need to build to 10,000 investors. I have had big players in the industry hire me that have 25,000 plus investors on their list and need help figuring out how do we raise more money, because I don't really know the list. So you can raise a lot of money with 1,000 investors. Okay. You can raise substantial money. One of my clients raised 21 million with 400 investors on his list. He knows them very well. They have lots of money. They're able to deploy funds into several different deals. So we don't need 10,000 investors. You can't manage that anyways. We know who these people are. Marketers love to convince you that you've got to collect emails, and the more people you have on your list, and you blast these emails out, that's how you raise money. Well, we're not in that market anymore. We're not in Kansas anymore. Dorothy loves to say in one of my favorite movies. Private equity, family offices, love them. I've pitched them in New York on like the 32nd floor of a huge fancy building on Madison Avenue. I don't want their money. Okay, I'm not trying to be rude, but they're not, everybody thinks that's the easy button. And if anybody in here has ever worked with family offices or private equity, yes, you can get deals done, but you lose all control of your deal. You lose all your margins. You don't make very much money. Like, there are a lot of strings attached. So all the money that I've raised in my career has come from retail investors, individual people who have cash that they want to move into investments. Emails are important. We've got to make our stuff pretty, right? We got to be entertained. So our emails need to look nice. Our brand needs to look nice, but we can't just raise through emails. I mean, maybe in like 2018, in the heyday of this market, when money was just flying, right? It was easy to send an email and investors would put money into it. So what I want you to think about with your emails is it supports the process. Okay. We need to send out emails. Absolutely. Especially when we have a live deal, but we also need to be communicating with investors when we're not in the middle of a raise, and we can't rely on that alone. Content overload. I mean, how many of y'all don't want to write 20 blog posts? I mean, that makes me want to pull my eyelashes out. I don't want to write 20 blog posts. You don't need to write 20 blog posts. Okay. You don't have to do that to raise capital. I think the craziest thing when we did this raise last year, again, we had to send out a very cryptic email about like, hey, this is an incredible opportunity. All I can tell you, it's fintech. I can't tell you anything else. The only way you can learn about the deal is if you show up live and you have to sign this NDA. And that was like it. There was no deck sent out, no recording. We couldn't even tell them who the founder was, who the executive team was, what the real name of the company was. So I'm telling you that what raises real money is relationships and people that trust you. So don't worry about 20 blog posts. You don't need that. If you keep getting the same questions over and over again, create a really good FAQ page, lead magnet, right? Some sort of a PDF, but you don't need to consistently create all these blog posts. Automations is such a catchphrase in our industry, or a catchword, whatever you want to call it. I mean, people want to automate things to death. And the other day, I made the mistake of clicking on an email, a button in somebody's email. And immediately I got a text message, then my phone rang, then I got a voicemail, then I got an email. Hey, saw that you're interested in the deal. What questions can we answer for you? And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like automation's gone wrong, right? And I'm not saying don't automate anything. Yes, we got to make our life easier, but when it loses the personal touch, it makes your brand look cheap. So you're going to hear phrases in this industry like build an automated capital raising machine. I just want y'all to understand that unless you're 3 to 5 years into the business, it's hard to do that from day one, because who are you going to put in your funnel? It's not going to happen from collecting email addresses. It's going to happen from conversations and relationships. How many of y'all have seen the movie The Field of Dreams? And this whole idea, right? I love this movie. And I also love Sandlot. I think that's one of the best movies of all time. But if you build it, they will come, right? If I build this beautiful website and all these blog posts and lead magnets, and I, put all this stuff out there, then investors are going to find me. And the only way that they're going to find you is through conversations. So all of this is great, but it's not going to help you reach your goals. Conversations is what brings capital. It always comes back to conversations. And this market that we're in is proving that in this industry. Julie said a lot of people have left the industry. Don't let that be you, right? This is a great time to be in the industry. It's a great time to be building your investor network, warming up investors, even if you don't have a deal yet. So what I want to walk you through are 4 capital raising moves that win in any market. Doesn't matter what market we're in, up, down, sideways, recession, it doesn't matter. You can raise money in those markets. So the first one, what I want you to realize is capital raising is a lifestyle. It's not something we do on Tuesday, Thursday, and we block it out in our calendar. You need to eat, sleep, and breathe it. Meaning, and it's not pass out your business card to everybody that you meet. But one of my favorite experiences in meeting an investor was in the ocean in the Cayman Islands at a really nice resort. And her name's Sabrina, and she's amazing. And her husband were so much fun. Myself and my business partner were there. We're literally in the ocean, y'all, in the Caribbean with a drink, and they looked friendly. And so we're just like, hey, are y'all here for the conference? And they're like, no, we're here for, we're so tired of working. Things are exhausting. Like, oh, where are y'all from? They're like, we're from Dallas. No way, we're from Dallas. What do y'all do? Right. And then we just start listening to them. And her husband works for American Airlines. And we kind of joke around, like, we've got a bone to pick with you about our flight on the way here. He was laughing. Then we asked Sabrina, what do you do? She's like, oh, I'm an attorney in private equity. We're like, no way, we're in the finance space too. She's like, what do you guys do? And that's how the conversation started. And about 3.5 weeks after I met them, several $100,000 went into one of my raises because I met somebody in the ocean. And it's not that we're going out there trying to pitch everybody. It just means that we're willing to talk to strangers. I am not an extrovert. I think that surprises most people. I'm like one of those introverted extroverts, right? Like I turn it on when I need to. That's how I've been successful in sales, but I'm kind of like a lone wolf, right? Like my biggest nightmare is, like, Julie's incredible at this. She could probably teach me how to work a room. But I went to my, one of my best friends, her daughter was getting married at their home, beautiful home in Oregon. She's like, come to the wedding. And I'm like, okay, right? I don't know anybody. I just know her. She's the mother of the bride. Do you think I'm having any conversations with her? No. I'm like, this is one of those situations where I got to put my like networking hat on and really put some energy into it. It's not natural to my personality, but we have to do it. My business coach, my sales coach, then he was my executive coach. His name's Adam. And he said, you don't have to like it. You just have to do it. And he's like, if you don't talk about your business, you won't have one. So get out there and talk about it. I'm like, okay, fine. Right. I'm going to get out there and network. But that's what I mean by your willingness to talk to strangers. You're in the ocean. She smiled. I could have looked away and just like smiled, waved back, but we started a conversation. So social media is great. If you're not on LinkedIn, you should be for capital raising. Best platform out there for so many reasons that we don't have time to get into today. But hopefully this can free you from the pressure of maybe what your VA or your social media manager is telling you. You're not going to raise money through Instagram. I'm not saying it's impossible. It is so hard to reach people on Instagram. It is so hard to reach people on TikTok. Your investors are on LinkedIn. It's an incredible platform for that. You can literally search and find people by their job, how much money they make. You can target people on LinkedIn. So get on social media. But it's secondary lead generation, meaning it's like your business card, right? I meet Sabrina in the ocean. We don't have business cards on us. We're in swimsuits in the water. And I'm like, are y'all going to be at the pool or are you at the beach tomorrow? And she's like, oh, we're going to be at the beach. I'm like, awesome. We'll find you tomorrow and continue our conversation, because they had to go to a dinner reservation. So what did I do that night? Found her on LinkedIn. It's easy, right? It's kind of like, it's a no-brainer. It's a sticky way to connect with somebody. It doesn't feel weird. It's like, oh, just connect on LinkedIn. And then we had another conversation the next day. And then when she got back, I followed up with her. I'm like, hey, I'm sure you've been slammed. Like, I know how it is when you get back from vacation. My week's been pretty insane too, but I want to make sure I didn't drop the ball. I know you had some questions about the tech investment. Let me know when you've got, 7 to 8 minutes. We'll jump on a call and I'll run you through it. Okay, so language, like want to make sure I didn't drop the ball. There's things that I say that are they have a very specific reason from a sales psychology perspective. I know you're slammed getting back from vacation. My week is swamped, but I want to make sure I didn't drop the ball, right? I'm busy too. That's sales psychology. Want to make sure I didn't drop the ball and getting you some answers to your questions on that tech deal. Now, 7 to 8 minutes. That's easy to say yes to. Don't ask for 5 or 10. Why? Every salesperson asks for 5 to 10. Has anybody ever asked you for 10 minutes or 5 minutes? And you're like, this isn't going to be a 5-minute call. This is going to be like a 40-minute call. You're like, I don't have time for that. But if somebody says, hey, Julie, let me know when you've got 7 to 8 minutes, we'll jump on a quick call and I'll walk you through. You're like, oh, they're very precise on managing their time. So we have to be willing to talk to strangers, be willing to have those conversations. And again, be on social media because people are going to go look you up, right? Are you legit or are you like a scam artist? If there's nothing out there on you, and I say I raise money for Texas vineyards and there's zero evidence of it, that investor is going to be like, do you really? Or are you lying to me and just trying to take my money? So social media is important for those reasons, that there's evidence that you are who you say you are. Build your golden Rolodex. What most people miss and don't even focus on, everybody's just out there trying to fish in this massive ocean of social media and trying to meet investors all over the United States and sometimes even internationally. And they neglect their local market. I'm telling you, unless you live in a tiny town with like 5,000 people, most people live in a metropolitan area. You have a gold mine of people in your backyard. Okay, so in the last year, I really made an effort, a strong effort to start networking and meeting people locally. And I have gotten myself plugged into some rooms that I'm like, well, I don't know if I deserve to be in this room, but here I am. How did this happen, right? I was at a dinner with a woman who brought in a celebrity chef. Every single woman at that table was high net worth. I'm talking Rolls Royce in the driveway type of event. And I met her through a friend and I started building this network on coffees and lunches. So the way that we attract those large money investors is you have to get in those environments. It might be time to refresh your list. How many of y'all are feeling like, it might be some time to bring in some new investors? I'm not denying that things are tough right now. There's some investors that the chapter's closed and they're not going to go on with you in the next step in your journey. And let me give you hope that there are investors that I've had over the years where every deal doesn't go perfectly and I've lost their money and they're still with me and they still put money in every single deal that I bring to them. So I want to give you hope that just if things are going south and you've done everything you can and you're a victim of the market and you've literally done every possible thing you can and think you're struggling, don't stay stuck there. You have to believe that there's investors that understand risk. They understand putting their money into, it's not treasury, right? The money's at risk and they will stick with you. There are some that won't, and that's okay, but it may be time for you to refresh your list. So we got to get out there and we got to start talking about our business. And if you want to meet the higher net worth investors that have the capital that every time you bring them a deal, they're putting in 250, 500. I've got a couple that are in the 7 figures that I've met over the years. We have to put ourselves in those environments. Where do they hang out? Where are you going to meet these people? A lot of times you're going to meet them at a private club. You're going to meet them at expensive hobbies. You're going to meet them playing tennis, playing pickleball, playing golf. You're going to meet them at, the ladies in here, anybody play Mahjong? It's like my new obsession. Such a fun game. You're going to meet them there. There is a Mahjong club that plays every month in Highland Park, which is the wealthiest part of DFW, at Sadel's. And it's caviar, champagne, and Mahjong. You're going to meet investors there. You got to put yourself in environments where you're going to run into high net worth people. You also have to look the part. This is something that I hesitate bringing up. So I'm like, it sounds harsh, but it's the truth. If you want to run in those circles, you have to look like you belong there. It might be time for a wardrobe refresh, right? We put on our best pair of shoes when we go into these rooms, our best, our best watch, our best handbag. Like we have to look like we belong in these rooms. That also what gives you the confidence that, yeah, I'm here. These investors need to talk to me because I have a deal that they can't get access to otherwise. I belong here. What does that look like for you? It's different for everybody, but you have to look the part if you want to roll into those rooms. Just to give you an example of kind of building this golden Rolodex, not all of these people are going to become investors. So you might need a separate CRM or database. Don't get overwhelmed with the tech. For me, it's a spreadsheet. My golden Rolodex of people, and there might be some youngins in here that are like, what's a Rolodex? So we're aging ourselves here. But who's in your golden Rolodex of people? On an Excel spreadsheet, these may not be investors, but these are people that are well connected in Dallas. So right now for the vineyards, we are looking for contacts within the NFL, within NCAA for creating and building wine clubs. Well, I've already got 2 plugs into the NFL and into the Dallas Cowboys just from meeting people in Dallas that are in my Rolodex, and I go to lunch with them. And it's not transactional. I'm not looking for something from them. I'm just genuinely, let me learn more about you. What can I do to add value? I know I'm so tired of hearing that. And I hear myself saying it, add value, add value. I was like, what does that mean? Well, you become a lot more valuable when you have a network and if they have a problem that you can solve and you can connect them to somebody. I had an investor that needed oil and gas. I don't raise for oil and gas, but I have 2 solid operators that I made email introductions to. Anytime they need something, they call me because they know I've got the network. So how can we build relationships with these people, be genuinely interested in their business? And when they walk away from you, they feel inspired, positive, hopeful, like your energy is what they're attracted to. And this is how I got invited to this dinner at this woman's house. And she was like, enough about me. What are you building? Right? Because I'm just asking her questions and letting her talk. And I told her, and she was like, what's like on your plate right now? What are you excited about? And I told her about the partnerships with the NFL and Major League Sports team. And she goes, my best friend is a senior VP for the NFL. Bam, got a connection that can help the business long-term, that could probably turn into an investor. So it's not a science. It's very much an art of meeting people, but you start building these spider webs of people that the money eventually comes in. I have some big investors that have come in, and it took probably 9 to 12 months of connecting with them and building that relationship for it eventually to materialize. You have to give it time and be less transactional and more focused on the relationship itself. Build your golden Rolodex. You'll become valuable when you can connect people. Be a collector and a connector of people. All right. Number 2, talking about risk is how you build trust, especially in this market. Number 1, we have to be talking about risk. Number 2, if you don't talk about it, investors don't trust you. If you don't bring it up and you don't discuss it, it is our job to discuss risk. It is our job to rock the boat. It is our job gently, right? Rock the boat gently, but it is our job to truly vet investors in our vineyard projects. This is farming. Okay. So we may have a targeted return of 17%. We may come in at 13%. Why? Because we had a hailstorm that knocked some fruit off. The next year, we might come in at 19%. So John, talk to me about the investments that you've been in. How do you typically evaluate and deal with fluctuations when it comes to returns in an investment that's got, a little bit of volatility and some things that are out of our control? John's got to prove to me why he's a good investor for this type of opportunity. I think that you've probably all been through a lot this last year, 2 years, where you can say, okay, these are the types of investors that I want, right? And these are the ones that I probably need to stay away from that just can't handle market volatility, can't handle the risk. So the cool thing about the environment that we're in is if you need to rebuild your investor community, how amazing is that? That you get to do it from the ground up and you get to fill it with people that you truly enjoy being around and have the right mindset and have a lot of money that they can deploy into multiple deals or multiple offerings. So obviously we have to talk about the fact that these are illiquid investments. There's going to be fluctuations in returns. There's going to be curveballs operationally. My friends in here that are skilled at operations, things don't always go according to plan. I'm sure a lot of you probably feel like a professional firefighter when it comes to asset management right now. So we need to have those conversations with investors and say, there's going to be curveballs. There's going to be things that are out of our control. A really good operational team understands how to anticipate those curveballs. And the ones that we cannot anticipate, we're quick to rectify them and find a solution. But talk to me about other investments that you've been in. How do you evaluate risk when it comes to curveballs? Right? So vet your investors from a risk perspective. Talk about it in your webinars, especially when you're doing a deal. What's the risk in this? In the tech deal, we told them, I said, how I personally evaluated this, because I invested in it in a previous round, is I said, how much money am I willing to light on fire and it doesn't change my lifestyle? And that's how you need to evaluate this. This is high risk. It is high reward, but it is high risk. So do not put in more money than what you're willing to lose. Now, obviously, we feel very good about the leadership team, the trajectory of this investment, but this is a high risk opportunity. People trust you more when you talk about the risk. Some money's too expensive, meaning Don't ever just take an investment because you need it to close out your raise. I had one of my favorite vineyard investors sold a property, wanted to put a lot of money into one vineyard. Okay, we've got several vineyards. And the amount of capital that he was wanting to put in compared to his net worth, I was not comfortable with it. And I said, I really appreciate that you have that much confidence in us as a team. Like, you love these opportunities. I'm just not comfortable with you putting that much into this vineyard. Can we talk about diversification? Can I connect you to some other opportunities that cash flow similar to the vineyards, but just so you've got some diversification at play? I'm not legally allowed to give him investment advice. So I'm not, right? But I am allowed to say, we can't take that much. So some money's too expensive. Some investors, you're probably like, if I could release them back to the industry, I probably would, because they're just not cut out for this. And every time my phone rings or every time I get an email, I get angst. We don't want angst. We want to build a business that brings us joy. And we can control that with how we build the investor community. All right, number 3, create Rolls-Royce energy. What does that mean? How do we create an environment where people want to be a part of what we're doing? Rolls-Royce, as y'all know, doesn't market. And I was looking up, it's my favorite. It's on my vision board. It's my favorite car, mostly because it's like takes 6 months to build one. Y'all think this is insane. And this one's not on my vision board because I don't think I'd ever spend this much on one. But the most expensive Rolls-Royce that was custom built was $30 million for a car. How insane is that? That's not, I don't want a $30 million Rolls-Royce, but I'll take one that's $500,000, right? Because of how you feel when you sit in it and how it makes, like, how it changes how you think about your business, your life. I go put myself in these environments. If I want to dream big about my business, if I'm in the middle of a raise and I want to call investors, oftentimes I travel when I'm in the middle of a raise. I go to what I call high vibrational areas. I went to Miami, stayed in a really nice hotel on the ocean because things were really crazy. And I'll tell you that story here in a little bit about how we got that thing across the finish line. It was not easy. And we had some freak out moments. I'd rather freak out at a 5-star in Miami, looking at the ocean and figure out how am I going to get this thing across the finish line than do it, at my home when I'm just, overwhelmed with all my other tasks. So there's a lot of things when I talk about Rolls-Royce energy, it's how you approach your business, but especially it's how investors feel when they talk to you. It's how they look at your investment firm. Shifting the energy at the beginning of your first conversation with them is letting them know that what you do isn't perfect for everybody. So out of the gate, right? So I'd say, Julie, I got to let you know out of the gate, what we do in, these vineyards, it's certainly not for everybody. It takes a certain type of investor with a specific mindset that would be a good fit for it. And I'll make sure that I walk you through that, what we look for in investors within our investment community. But we may have a great conversation and you love wine and you think what we're doing is cool, but it's not the right fit for your portfolio for whatever reason. Are you okay telling me that if you get to that point? And nobody's ever told me, all they've ever said is, well, yeah, of course I'll tell you no. You're giving them permission to say no out of the gate, but you're doing it from a place of that Rolls-Royce energy where they want to be a part of what you're doing. And they say, well, yeah, of course I'll tell you no. I'm like, are you sure? You seem like a real nice gal. You sure? They're like, yeah, of course I'll tell you. Okay, great. The other side of that is maybe after I understand your goals and what you're looking for when it comes to your investments, maybe I decide just from our perspective, it's not the right fit. Like, I'm not the one to help you. If we get to that point, are you okay if I let you know that? Well, yeah, I hope you would. That's usually what people say. I say, and if we do get to that point, I'll do the best that I can. I've got a big network to connect you to other people that might be a better fit. And the other outcome is we have a great conversation. You like what we do. And you're like, man, this could really help me in my portfolio. And if we get to that point, we can talk about what those next steps would look like and how to plug into our investor community. Are you comfortable with that? Now, do y'all hear the tone in that? It's not coming from a place of I need your money. It's like, we're going to have a conversation. It may or may not be the right fit. And if it's not, that's okay. But let's talk about it. And what this does is it takes all the pressure off of them because everybody is thinking, every single investor that you talk to, if you do not disarm them out of the gate, they're waiting for the shoe to drop. They're waiting for your sales pitch. Their walls are up. Even if you don't come across as salesy, I don't think anybody in here is salesy or pitchy or used car type, but it's just the default response is their walls are up. Why? Because they hate salespeople. Why? Because salespeople suck and they haven't changed for decades. I mean, salespeople have been doing just bad behaving salespeople for years. Every day they come across somebody pitching them in their social media inbox, at the car dealership, on their phone, some guy selling insurance. Like, they come across bad salespeople all the time. So anytime they think they're going into a conversation where somebody wants something from them, their walls are up. I have a guy that keeps messaging me on LinkedIn and he keeps hitting a form on my website and he's not getting a response from me because I'm like super resistant to it because he hasn't disarmed me. He just wants to talk to me, right? Let me get on your podcast, which I don't even have a podcast anymore. And let's create a marketing and sponsorship opportunity. It's a crypto company. I'm like, that's not how we sell, right? So I'm like, I'm already resistant to it because I don't want to deal with salespeople. So you have to understand that's where your investors are. So from the beginning, tell them, hey, what we do isn't right for everybody. It takes a specific type of mindset, right? With our investors, the ones that be a good fit for our community. And I'll be happy to walk you through that. I'll make sure we talk about that as we chat today. And then give them permission to say no if it's not the right fit. And then tell them you also get to say no, right? If it's after I understand your goals and what you're hoping to accomplish, I may decide from my perspective that we're not the right fit. I'm just not the right one to help you. Are you okay if I tell you that? Well, yeah, of course. I hope you would. Awesome. And if for some reason we're not, I'll make sure I get you connected to somebody in my network based on what you're looking for when it comes to your investments. And the other outcome is we have a great conversation and you see a correlation between the types of investments we do and what you're hoping to accomplish in your portfolio. And if we get to that point, you'll hear the if. Most salespeople are like, and when we get to that point, then they get excited and the Bullwinkle voice comes out. I'll walk you through our investor community and how it works, and, right, and all the features and benefits. And they start product vomiting all over the person, and then their walls go back up. So it's a very matter-of-fact tone because you don't know. That's the point that I want y'all to get to. When you talk to an investor, it is not your job to get their money. It's to figure out, number one, do you have the problems that I fix? Talk to me about your investments. What's broken? What do you not like? What's not working? Why is that? How long have you been invested in this? What are you looking for? How do you evaluate risk? That's what we're trying to figure out first. We're dating. Does it make sense to have future conversations about our opportunities? Are y'all on board with that? Just shake your head at me. Yeah, the Bullwinkle voice. We want to avoid that. So we got to keep our voice very even when we're saying it. So think about like, what are the qualifications of your investor community? Come up with 3. I usually walk investors through 3 different qualifications. A lot of times it has to do with how they evaluate risk, which is really important. One of ours is fun. They laugh. It's always the last one I explain to them, but I'm like, you have to have fun, right? Like we have fun. We're goofy. We tell dad jokes in our investment webinars. Like we like to have a good time. We're serious about results, but we like to have a good time. So if you're okay with that, you'll be a great fit, right? And they love it. I've met some serious, Steves out there. I don't think there's any Steves in here. If you are a Steve, I'm not talking to you, but you know what I mean? Some real serious ones. And I'm like, I don't know if I deal. I'm looking at me in every investment webinar, right? Update webinar where they just look cranky. They're just kind of like cranky all the time. I don't care how big your check is. If you're cranky, I don't want you a part of my community. We get to choose the types of investors that are a good fit for us. The last thing I want to remind you is you have to come in with the mindset of, I don't need this money. Now, that's hard to do when you probably need the money. We need the money when we're in the middle of a raise. And I remember when I was selling financial education, early on in my career, and the whole family was on payroll. I remember my coach walking me through, like, you got to get your head in the game before you go into these conversations, because if your frame of mind is, if I don't close this deal, dad can't make payroll this Friday, and the whole family's depending on me. If I go in there with that pressure, they're going to feel it. The person I'm talking to is going to feel it. I'm not doing them the best service. Like I'm not showing up for them in the best way possible if I'm coming with this like kind of thirsty energy, like I need this money. So I would always go in my office, which was adjacent to like the office I'd meet with clients in. This was like my war room. There were no windows, nobody could see in there, right? As my sales boards, all my notes. And I would go in there and I would just center myself. I'm like, Keeley, you don't need this money. Right? You're top of the network. There was a guy at the top of the network that I was chasing. You're like, you're the number 1 education counselor in this network. You don't need this money, but you're happy to help this person if it's the right fit. So go in there and serve, go in there and help them, go in there and enjoy the conversation. And when I could come from that place, I remember these deals would start closing, and when they were like, oh yeah, no, I want to do the biggest education package we have, which eventually was like close to $75,000. And like, oh yeah, no, I want to be the diamond package. And in my mind, I was like, oh my gosh, right? Like it worked. But I was like, wait, act like you've been there before. Don't let them see that you're shocked. And I'm telling you, just deals started closing and closing and closing when I changed my energy within the conversation itself. So I know, can we all agree? Capital raising is hard. I don't care who's out there and tells you that it's easy and you can automate everything. Those are lies. And when you believe those lies, you're going to think something's wrong with you when you're not getting the results. And everybody publishes their top, this person raised $4 million in 2 days while on vacation. Great. Good for you. That's not everybody. And I don't want y'all feeling like there's something wrong with you if you're not getting these crazy results out of the gate. It takes time to build an investor community. It takes time to let those relationships develop. And it is not easy. This is like a commission-only sales role. So you have to fall in love with the hunt. And you have to fall in love with who you're going to become in the process, because you've got to be resilient and tough as nails to survive in this space. But I'm telling you, it is so rewarding when you can develop your sales skills and develop your bounce back, which is my next tip for you. What is your bounce back rate? They don't serve champagne at pity parties. And one of my business coaches told me that. She was like, they don't serve champagne at pity parties, so don't stay too long. Something happens, you thought you had an investor for like $500,000, you're going to close your deal out, and the whole thing fell apart at the last minute. It's okay to go scream in your car, whatever you got to do to let the energy out. Go scream outside in your backyard. It's okay to be frustrated, but don't internalize it and don't stay there for too long. Get the energy out of your body. I know this sounds crazy, but I've studied so much about the mental game and mental resilience. And it is literally like, if you're in a funk, you have to move the energy out. Go for a walk. Y'all heard of these crazy vibration plates that you can stand on? They just shake you like crazy. They shake your brain. They're amazing. I get in a funk. I literally stand on it. I don't know what it does to my cells, but I'm in a better mood. Or I go for a walk, or I listen to music. I do something to move the energy out of your body, because it's going to be hard. I'm about to go into another really big raise, and I'm gearing up for it. And I'm doing all the things that are required to get my head in the right space. And I know it's going to be tough. I know it's going to be hard going into it. But the outcome of you winning your raise and fully funding it, or throwing in the towel at 50% or 70% and then justifying it, saying, well, I knew I shouldn't have set the target that high. I knew things were tough in this environment, right? And kind of like dropping your standards down. The decision, the outcome of whether you win the raise and fully fund it or you throw in the towel is decided at the beginning, before you start the raise, whether you will fully fund or throw in the towel. It is a decision that is made at the very beginning. And it is so crucial that you work on your money mindset, your mental mindset, your resilience, your bounce back rate. I want y'all to understand that, like, I've done mindset work for so many years. I still have this crazy noise that goes on between my ears of like, oh, are you sure you can do this? I don't know. You just came out of a $25 million raise. What if your investors don't have the money? This is a bigger deal this time. The stakes are higher. What if all that stuff's still going on in my head? But it's your ability to recognize it very quickly and say, hey, I named my inner critic Barbara. If there's any Barbaras in here, it has nothing to do with you. I just named her Barbara. And I was like, listen, Barb. I mean, y'all think I'm crazy. I'm at home. I talk to myself. Listen, Barb. Okay. You're crashing out. We're fine. We've done this before. Look at our track record. What a time to be alive. We're going to do it again. And it's going to be a ton of fun, and it's going to be a wild ride, but we're going to do it again. So get in the back seat. We're driving this way. It's your ability to recognize the thoughts and say, I hear what you're saying, but this is what I know to be true about myself, about my business, about the economy, about my investors. If you don't take control of survival brain, those thoughts will eat you alive, and they will eat your raise alive. They will kill your raise in the middle of it. One of my tips here is don't freak out in the middle. It gets quiet in the middle. And what I mean by that is your quick decision, your high D dominant type investors. If you ever studied personality types, ton of fun to study this. I've taught it for many years in sales. But they are very direct, and they make decisions quickly. They will come in the beginning, right? Those are usually your investors like, yep, I'm in, doc sign, wires in. And you're like, okay, good. We got some momentum. And then it gets eerily quiet. And then that's when your brain starts going, oh, nobody's interested. That's all you're going to raise. It gets super quiet in the middle, and then everything comes flooding in at the end. So in the middle is where we have to be on the phone. We're talking to investors. We're texting investors. And it's not, hey, are you interested in the deal? It's not that. It's like, hey, John, I've been swamped this week. I meant to reach out sooner. I want to make sure I didn't drop the ball. What information do you need from me to give this thing a green light or a red light? Love to have you part of it if it fits your investment goals, but want to make sure I got you the info that you needed to green light it or red light it. Green light or red light. Red light means they can say no. Now they have a clear head to make a decision. Just because you give them permission to say no doesn't mean they're going to say no. It just means they have a clear head to make the decision. They don't think that Keeley's trying to get in my pocket. I'm not. I only want you in if it's a good fit. So what information do you need from me to give this thing a green light or a red light? That's it. Callings, I want to make sure I didn't drop the ball. I've been super swamped. Realize I hadn't talked to you since the webinar. What information do you need from me? It's not, hey, John, saw you at the webinar, right? We've only got 2 spots left. We're 94% subscribed. All the crap that you see in the industry, stop doing it, right? I'm telling you, it doesn't work. Investors are so tired of us crying wolf. We're 93% subscribed. Are you? Because then it stays open for another 60 days. We got to tell them the truth. So when you set expectations with investors, I'll tell them sometimes deals will fill up fast. Fast could be 21 days, like 3 weeks to 4 weeks. Some deals are open for 60 days. It really depends on how many investors are taking a look at the deal. And this one in particular, I can tell you there's close to 8,000 people looking at it. We've got room for 64, 65 investors, depending on who comes in at what investment amount. So I just want to make sure that you don't miss a chance to look at it. I know you're super swamped. I want to make sure I didn't drop the ball. What information do you need from me? They believe that because it's the truth. Depending on the size of your team, you may have 8,000 investors looking at it. Maybe it's 3,000, maybe it's 1,000 and you have room for 64. It doesn't matter, but let's be honest with people and not do all this marketing crap that cheapens our business. Okay. So a lot of marketers that come into this industry are coming from the online space where they're selling digital courses. You're going to see me do things like that in my coaching business. You know, 2 weeks left, only 2 spots left. And when I close out, I have 4 people right now on the wait list for something. I'm not letting them in because then they'll never believe me when I say it's closed. They'll never believe me if I'm like, oh yeah, but you can sneak in, right? Then my word is not my word. So marketers from that industry have come in here and they're like, oh, 94% subscribed, 2 spots left. And then we sound like the price is right and we cheapen our business. And it's not the Rolls Royce approach. We want the country club, exclusive, luxury, high end. Not everybody's a good fit. That's okay. That's what makes you proud of your business. And it's all about how we communicate that. So don't freak out in the middle, because the middle is when your phone calls, your text messages, your emails that are going out are moving people closer to a decision. And then everybody comes in. The last part of it comes in at the end. Okay. So be careful in the middle. Manage that survival brain. It's your default. It's what saved us from dying from saber-toothed tigers many, many years ago. The problem is we're not being chased by saber-toothed tigers anymore, but our brain goes to fight or flight in business all the time. So you have to catch your thoughts. Like, where did that come from, Barbara? That's wild. Get in the back seat. We're not doing that today. Here's what I believe to be true about myself. I want to tell you a story. There was, when I was in Miami at a nice hotel looking at the oceans, I'm like, I'm going to raise and put myself in I'm going to have a spa day in the middle of a raise. I'm going to learn to enjoy my business and not stress myself out and think that if I'm not productive 24/7, that I'm losing out and I'm not raising. You have to take care of yourself when you're in the middle of a high pressure situation like this. And when my business partner and I were in Miami, we had to raise for this particular round, we needed 22 million and we were tapped out at 15. We were short $7 million. And we had all of these, like, we had a whole plan and it never goes according to plan. I'm like, oh, this is easy, right? They'll fund this, they'll come in here. And all the private equity firms we met with were out. All the big investors that we thought were going to come in for whatever reason didn't work out. And we were tapped out at 15 million. And I'm telling you, this is the difference between throwing in the towel versus getting it across the finish line, is the decision that you make at the beginning. It was like, no, we're funding this thing. Come hell or high water. I don't care what the scoreboard looks like. I'm a 4th quarter champion. I never lose. I always win. We're going to figure it out. And we both looked at each other and we were like, get the affirmations. And I know some of you might think this is woo-woo stuff, but this is how you snap your head back in the game. And we have affirmations. I wrote some of them out. If you want my list of affirmations, just message me on LinkedIn. I'll send them. You're going to think some of them are crazy, but I'm telling you, they got my head back in the game. And so we pulled up these affirmations and we were like saying it with, like, you know, that phrase, say it with your chest, like you believe it, right? Looking at the ocean, we're like, I'm a magnet for capital. People chase me down to invest in this deal. Money flows to me easily and effortlessly from multiple sources in increasing quantities every single day. I'm a master of my time and full of energy. We were wiped out. Okay. Right? That's Barbara. You're tired. You did fine. You did 15 million. Just throw in the towel. You're good. No, I'm a master of my time. I'm full of energy. My investors' lives are overflowing with abundance and wealth. If you want to believe your investor community to have money, you got to speak that over them. You got to believe that they have money, that they're willing to move money into your deal. It doesn't matter what the scoreboard looks like. I'm a 4th quarter champion. I never lose. I always win. And I was looking at all the waves just continually crashing into the shore. And I was like, as the waves roll into the shore, money rolls into this account. Like, we got this. Why? Because you know who you are on the inside. You believe that you'll win no matter what. I'm telling you, I can teach you strategy all day long. But if you don't get your head in the game, you're not going to hit your raised targets. It is so much about your mindset. I've taught sales long enough. When I was VP of sales, hundreds of salespeople in different campuses all over the US. We'd have sales events Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and all the revenue would pour in Sunday. And I'd look at my salespeople's rankings, and I could tell when somebody was in a rut. And the only reason they were struggling is because of their head game. It was what's going on between their ears, their inner critic. And they were spiraling, and they were having trouble getting out of it because they weren't actively taking control of their mindset. So I'm going to leave you with, before we do Q&A, something that gets my head in the game. When I go into a raise, before I do a webinar, when I did this tech deal, I did close to 80 webinars. Why? Couldn't send out a recording, had to have groups of like 5 people or less, live pitches only. I'm talking 80 webinars at 5:30 p.m., 7 p.m., and 8:30 p.m. From 5 to 10 p.m., I'm pitching back to back to back. How do you keep your head in the game? Affirmations, hype music. For my friends in here, millennials, Till I Collapse by Eminem, AC/DC, whatever it takes to get you in the mood. I'm about to pitch this thing. Money's rolling in. Like, we're doing it. Let's go. So one thing that has always kept my head in the game is one of my favorite quotes, speeches. It's our friend Teddy Roosevelt. But it's a question at the end that I ask myself every single day that keeps me in the game. It's not the critic who counts. It's not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man or woman who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. There's a lot of people leaving the industry right now. There's also a lot of money being raised. Last quarter, $30 billion was raised in funds. $30 billion, y'all. There's investors out there with capital. The question that I ask myself every day is, are you sitting in the stands or are you standing in the arena? Am I playing small in my business, or am I really getting out there? Am I making bold moves? Am I doing the things I don't want to do? Am I doing the things that scare me? That's really where the growth comes in. All right, Julie, I went over time, but I want to make sure we have time for Q&A, wherever you want to go from here. I haven't been looking at the chat, so I don't know if there's questions in there, but
they're just comments. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Great. All right. Well, I know for me, I want to talk about my deal. One of the struggles that I have is opening up and being in the right, getting that person talking to me about what I want to talk to them about, right? And I think that's the biggest, like, you're meeting, oh, this is great, how, we get to know each other, and then it's like, okay, when do I say it? Okay, well, I've got a deal. I'd love to chat with you about it. It just feels so awkward, uncomfortable.
I know.
How do you, can you give me and the folks here in the room some tips to say, okay, you can do this, but it's got to be free flowing. The way you speak, it sounds like it's so free flowing, but I feel so uncomfortable.
I've been doing it for a while, so don't give it too much credit. This is like, time. It's just time in the business and time in sales where you learn to speak the language. My perspective is always, I want to draw people to me through curiosity. I never want to be like, hey, got something I want to show you, right? Where I feel like I've got, a trench coat with all these watches, right? Like, I got a deal for you. Because it makes me feel cheap, and I don't like that. I want to feel like it's high end. So 2 things. Number 1, it comes back to how you describe your business from the beginning. And I'll get to the second thing in a minute, but how you describe your business from the beginning. A lot of people, when they do an elevator pitch or they talk to somebody, it's like, it's all about them, right? So I would say like, oh, I'm managing partner of Texas Legacy Vines. We're one of the largest vineyard operators in the state of Texas. We've got over 1,000 acres of high wire mechanized trellis vineyards, and we sell grapes within the $20 billion wine industry. And people are like, oh, cool. And then they don't ask you any questions because it had nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
So how we describe what we do has to come from a place of the pain points that you solve. So number one, who do you help? So this is why it's so important that you're letting that person talk as much as possible. Have you ever met somebody at a party and you're like, man, I don't really like that guy. I like him a lot. Why? Because he let you talk. You don't know anything about him. He just let you talk all about yourself and asked you all kinds of questions, and you got to talk about your favorite subject. That's how we need to be with other people. What got them into this industry, or what got them into the business, whatever it is that they do. What are they excited about this year? Like, wow, that's fascinating. Tell me about, like, where you went to school. Like, you're just genuinely asking questions. If they're normal, the law of reciprocity kicks in, like it did for this investor in the ocean in the Caymans. She's like, oh my God, you've been talking to us for so long. What do y'all do? They will ask you, and that's your moment to shine. And now that you know something about them, then you would fill in the blank with, maybe I'm talking to a business owner, like, oh, I run a private investor club, or I run a private investor community. And we typically work with business owners that reach out and they want help with their investments because they're frustrated with the stock market and just the volatility. They feel like they need some more diversification. A lot of them tell me they're tired of these big tax bills. They're looking for ways to mitigate it. Many of them are just trying to make sure they can keep up with their lifestyle and retirement and want some investments that perform better. And we do that through the private investment market. We specialize in agriculture. Our investors, we do all the hard work. They never have to get their hands dirty. So we handle the vineyards, but they get to participate in cash flow for 40 years, right? 4 decades. So we're with our investors for a long time. And you'll get questions like, oh, how does that work? The key is you're solving, what are their pain points? What are their challenges? What are they dealing with? Words like frustrated, tired, nervous, worried, upset, anxious, right? So I typically work with business owners, and they reach out and ask for help with their investments because they're frustrated. What are they frustrated with? What are they tired of? What are they nervous about? What are they anxious about? The conversation flows better like that when you describe your business from that perspective. And you've already asked them a bunch of questions. You will pique their interest. Well, how does that work? Right? Where are your vineyards at? And how does the cash flow piece of it work? The other way that you could do it, Julie, is like if you meet somebody for the first time that maybe is interested in your deals, but you don't want to be like, hey, I got a deal now. I love the whole like fly on the wall type thing. So like I met somebody, this was probably last year when I was going into a raise, and it felt too abrupt, right? Like just met you, hey, here's a deal, check it out. But we were doing a webinar for it. So I called him up and I was like, hey, I hesitated reaching out, but I thought, you know what? Why not? And I didn't want you to get upset with me and see an email about it and wonder why I didn't give you a personal invite. Because I know you had some questions about vineyards and how they work. So we actually have a live offering webinar. And I just thought maybe you want to be a fly on the wall from an educational perspective and, see how these deals work. You'll get to view the business plan. You'll see other investors in there in our community and, how the deals work from start to finish. I'll be happy to get you registered. But it's fly on the wall. It's disarming. They're not coming in thinking they're getting pitched. You know how many fly on the walls have invested? It's all about the mindset of how they're coming in. They're coming in from an educational perspective, not like, hey, I got a deal, come to the webinar. They start pushing back when they think you want something from them. The other way is you could, so like this woman whose best friend is a senior VP at the NFL, she was like, what type of investors are you looking for? And so I can tell her, here's the types of it. She's that investor, right? So high earner. She's an executive for a very large company that I won't mention, but she's an executive. So I'm like, oh, a lot of them are executives. They're high income earners. They're business owners. They don't have time to manage their investments. They don't want to be involved in operations, but they love the idea of the private markets. They want tax benefits. They're looking for cash flow. And she's like, well, that's me. And originally it was like, hey, if you know of anybody, would you send them my way? I don't mind asking her that because I've already poured into her and said, like, what can I do to help you build your business? Because she's building a side business separate from her executive role. Who are you looking for? Like, who's your perfect client? As I think through my network, that's how you become really valuable for people. I know there's these catchphrases of add value, but I'm trying to give you real examples of what that looks like. And don't go into these conversations feeling transactional. I got an email today, a referral from some woman, some guy that referred her. She's like, hey, my name's Stephanie, and so said, like, you're the girl to talk to if I want to invest in vineyards. I don't know who the guy is. I don't remember, but I'm sure at some point, right, we had a conversation. Like I just want y'all to come to the place of the money will come if you will just get out there and serve. Get out there and serve and help people. When you go into a conversation of what can I get out of this, people feel that energy. They feel it. So becoming very valuable to people is you're a collector of people and a connector of people. And some of these relationships, I have one of my clients is currently raising $150 million by herself. Okay. She's a total rock star. And I met her at a networking event. And then we had coffee and we just hit it off. And I'm like, tell me about your business. And I gave her some advice that was related to her personal life, kind of, but related to the business. And it was just like, hey, from a friend's perspective, here's what I think. And she's like, I really appreciate that. And then she started asking questions about coaching. And now she's literally referring investors to me for the vineyards. Just because I went into the conversation of, let me just enjoy meeting a stranger. What can I do to help them further their business, further their career? The money's going to come. I know I kind of went on a little tangent, Julie, but did I give you some ideas
Yeah,
of
no,
how to not feel
fantastic.
cheesy? Okay.
No, I think that's great. And I did have a second question, not in regards to the conversation, but the LinkedIn. You made a reference to LinkedIn, and I get real frustrated. People say, oh, I've connected with you. How about invest in my deal? And they're sending it to me, and it's a total turnoff. I don't want to connect with them. I'm like, block, not interested, or whatever. So I hear what you're saying, and it's probably for another conversation, but how do you not come off? I mean, there's got to be some strategies, high level on this for this conversation for LinkedIn. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you put it out there, you got to be strategic about it. I'm sure there's some thoughts and correct ways of putting it out there, but me as the investor to go into a deal, it's a total turnoff.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. That's why when I say use LinkedIn, don't look for investors for your specific deal. You're too late at that point. Build your investor community. Collect people that are a good fit for your investor community, and you can find them on LinkedIn and start local. That's what's like, there's no other social media platform that you can literally search, show me. If I were to start over from scratch, I'd go on LinkedIn and I would say, pull up all of the VPs of sales, VPs of marketings, chief revenue officers, and chief marketing officers in DFW. That'd be my filter. Why? That's who I was. I know what their pain points are. I know how stressful their job is. I know how many times they're in HR's office with their crazy salespeople who are doing wild things, creating issues in the workplace, and they have no time to look at their investments. And I know they're making at least $300,000, $400,000 to $600,000 a year, depending on their position. I know they got money and they're local. I'm not as scary. I'm just one of them, right? So I send a connection request. Don't send a message with it. They're much more likely to accept it. Don't send this stupid generic, hey, in an effort to expand my community, my community on LinkedIn or my network on LinkedIn, I thought we had some things in common. Like people ignore that because everybody's doing
Yep.
it. Just send the connection request.
Mm.
Make sure that in your headline, if I was doing that, I would change my headline under my name to, former VP of sales or sales exec, something that they see it. They're like, oh, she's just a peer in the industry. They accept it. And then I would probably wait. I want to wait a week before I send a message. And you're like, how do you track this stuff? Dripify. It's a great AI. Is it AI? I don't know. It's an automation program. I'm not a tech gal, but I love Dripify. It's probably like $60 a month. You can create an entire funnel on there. You can say, send a connection request to these specific people on LinkedIn. Anybody who's a VP of sales, chief revenue officer in Dallas, Fort Worth, and it'll send connection requests. And then once it accepts it, you can say, wait 7 days. Why wait 7 days? Because I would want them to see my content. My content's going to show up in their newsfeed. Why? Because very few people are actually posting content on LinkedIn. And my content is going to be about things that pique their interest. As a VP of sales, they have super massive time constraints. How do they evaluate a deal in 12 minutes or less? Back of the napkin, right? Like things like, oh man, that's super helpful. They're going to see my content. And then I send a message. And my first message is not like, hey, look at my deal. It's something that's more casual. Like, so I love videos. I love voice. If you message me on LinkedIn, you're probably going to get a voice message response. Why? Because I started doing it because it's faster than typing. I don't have the patience to type out a message. So I'm just like, hey, John, it's Keeley. I'm walking the dog. I'm always sending messages when I'm walking my dog. Hopefully you're okay with a message on the go. I'm just multitasking over here. Anyways, I sent you a connection request because I saw we're both executives in the sales space. And I know how hectic and crazy that life can be. I spent many years doing it. So you probably got a whole list of, HR challenges on your desk right now. But anyways, I want to reach out, let you know, I've got a really cool investor community of other executives like yourself, people that are overwhelmed with their investments, tired of the stock market roller coaster, sick and tired of making really good income, paying massive tax bills. It's a bunch of people just like you in this community. It's totally free to join, but I'm actively building the investment network. Really respect what you've done in your career. Think you'd be a great fit. Maybe you want to check it out. If not, just stay connected on LinkedIn. You'll see me posting about tax strategy, right? And I list off a few things that I post about, but I'm not really asking for anything. It's just like, hey, as a community of people just like us, do you want to be a part of it? Here's what you'll learn inside of it. Maybe I have a lead magnet that's like a PDF document of, for VPs of sales, for sales executives, how to reduce your tax bill through commercial real estate, right? 3 steps to do it. Hey, thought this resource would be helpful. Other executives that I talk to have always wondered how they can pay less taxes legally. Here's exactly how that works. Hope you're having an awesome day. You can set all that up inside of Dripify. You just want it to be personalized and you don't want it to be generic, and do not let a VA or a marketing person write it for you. Like, it needs to be you. It needs to sound like you. If it could be a quick video, if it could be a voice recording where they hear your voice, you're going to be much more successful that way. And then posting consistently so they're seeing your content. Did I answer your question?
God, so much. Yes, just
I know
like
I go on these
overwhelmed.
little
Oh my God,
tangents,
it's
and I'm like,
fantastic.
did I cover it? Okay.
All right. Who in the room has a question? Unmute yourself. Please ask it. We've got a short amount of time left. Anybody?
I have a question. How you doing, Julie?
Yeah, I know.
Is there a preference on when you're doing your webinars? I know you said you were doing a few of them at like 5 people, 6. Is that probably better to do that instead of like the big group ones? We have like 30 to 40 folks in there. You can basically make it more personalized.
I love that question. So when I did that, it's because I had to, but I learned a lot in that process of doing it that way. I was like, man, what I learned is that the conversion to capital was faster. We also put tight timelines on them. So I had a lot of my clients, friends, investors in the tech deal in previous rounds that brought in their friends and family. So I had fund managers that were helping raise on this. I was doing all the pitching, but it's like, just bring your people, right? I'll pitch, and then they would make a decision quickly. So we had, if the webinar was tonight, what is this? Tuesday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tuesday. The webinar was tonight. We'd tell them we need a decision, just a yes or no by Monday, and a range of their investment amount. We need docs done by the following Friday, wires by the following Monday. They know if they're in or out, and the longer you wait, the colder they get. So tighter timelines are better. It also gives you time to get on the phone. We obviously explain to them why. Like, we have to roll funds in. We're in a rolling close. We got to roll money into the company every single week. So we explained it that way, but we had a tight timeline for close. What I also learned is that, yes, because it was smaller, people had their cameras on, but we also, you got to razzle dazzle when you do a webinar, right? You're like the MC. You got to host it. You got to get them excited about it. When they turn on their camera, just like Julie gets y'all to turn yours on, right? You're like, hey, Julie, it's so good to see your face. All right. While we're letting everybody log in, type in the chat. Where are you from? What are you drinking? Does anybody have some wine? I can't have wine tonight because I've got to make sure that I'm coherent to show you this deal, but type in the chat. Where are you from? What are you drinking? And you create this environment where people are having a good time because they're so tired of attending stale, boring pitches. So every time before I go into those webinars, in my mind, I was like, okay, so I listen to my hype music, right? I just want to have a good time. Let's just have fun tonight. That took all the pressure off of it, where I could just flow. And it wasn't about, am I saying the right thing? Did I mess this up? It was like, just talk, the deal, have a good time, crack some jokes, smile, interact with people that are in your webinar. So the other thing that I learned from that is the more webinars you do, capital will move faster. In our industry, it's like, do one webinar, send the recording out, and then it's dead space for like weeks and weeks and weeks. What I learned in another raise for our vineyards is I did 2 webinars. So I gave them 2 options, 2 weeks apart. So say it's tonight, 7 p.m. And then I gave them next week a break. And then the following week, we had another one on Wednesday at 6, right? 2 options. And the way that I explained it was, it's the best and most efficient use of your time. We know everybody's busy. Show up live, get your questions answered. Promise we'll throw in some dad jokes, bring a glass of wine. We'll have a great time. So here's 2 options to register. And the more people that view it live, the more capital is going to move versus them watching the recording. So if you could do 2 webinar options, like give them 2 dates to attend it live, it also gives you time in between to call investors and say, hey, maybe you missed this. You're probably just as slammed as the rest of our investors. We put on a second live webinar just to be the most efficient use of your time. So you can show up live, get your questions answered. Next one's Wednesday at 7. You want me to get you registered. And then if you've got a lull of like 3 to 4 weeks, do a live Q&A. Live events will move money. It gives you a reason to call investors. It gives you something to talk about. So yes, do a few webinars. Do not, just going on YouTube. I'm gonna get in so much trouble. I was gonna say, do not do a recorded webinar and send it out. I know a lot of people are doing that. Okay, no hate if you are. I'm just telling you what I found works. Yes, it's easier. Yes, you automate everything, but I'm telling you what moves money is live webinars, live presentations, not a recording where your face isn't even on it. They got to see your face. They got to know that you're not some AI bot, right? Or it's not just some voice recording. Like, who are you? Put your face on camera, smile, like really engage them in the webinar. So don't just do a pre-recording and send it out. So test some extra live events, Noel. I think you'll find it successful.
Oh, fantastic information. Keeley, I know that we could go on for a long time, and I try and leave this at the middle of the hour. So is there anybody that has a burning desire? Owner? I like that. Owner. I love how you put that. I'm not sure. Oh, Hillary. Hillary's got a question
Hi,
real quick.
I have a question, Helen.
Yeah.
Give me a minute. So my question is, what advice should you give it to us? Actually, I've been in syndication for quite some time. I want to get into a private equity firm next year. So what direction uh can I, what direction should I take? Because I mean, I have raised money before, everything, have done syndication. Now I'm trying to push myself to a private equity to get the investment fund going next year.
So you want to raise from private equity, or you want to go work with a private equity firm?
I want to open investment fund. Instead of like investment fund, we're going to go to a private equity fund. The goal is to raise 100 million.
Okay.
So that way we can get a fund and then we can start investing between the real estate and also the business side.
Yeah. So y'all know when you go that route, so like my client that's raising 150 million, minimum check is 5 million because you're limited on the number of investors that you can bring in. So you have got to start getting into circles where there's big money moving, like qualified purchaser type investors, which is a different level than accredited, and they're different circles, and it all comes down to networking and getting into those conversations. Where are those people hanging out? And it's private clubs and expensive hobbies. It's nonprofit events. It is the gun club here in Dallas. Like, where are there places where you got to spend many, many thousands of dollars to get in the door? You will start meeting people through those networks and start building those relationships and partnerships. It's going to take you some time to do it. It's not impossible, but it's going to take you some time to do it. It's really been a big focus of mine over the last year. And you meet one person and then it connects to the next one. It's like a little spider web that starts building. But start working your existing network. Tell them what you want to do. Who do they know? I mean, we told our existing investors, that are in the vineyards, hey, we're building massive wine clubs with the NFL, with MLB, with NCAA. If you know somebody, let us know. One of my investors called me today. She's like, I can get you in with Jerry Jones. Perfect. We got to tell them what we want and what we need within our network so they can help us start, making those connections. So give yourself some time, but you need to get in those rooms with bigger players.
Thank you so much.
It's a different pitch to pitch those people. It's very different. Pain points are different.
So are you based in Dallas, Texas?
Yeah, I'm in Dallas. Well, I'm in like Plano, Frisco.
Oh, Plano. Okay. So we have business in Texas, Dallas. Yeah.
Nice.
All right. So Keeley, can you give us a high level? How do we get a hold of you? How do we work with you? How do we get more information to work with you and maybe to invest with you?
You're so sweet. Thank you, Julie. So I would tell you, actually, I think I had a little slide with a QR code. Okay. At the minimum, get on my email. Promise you it's going to be good stuff. I promise you they're entertaining.
Oh, yes.
It's not junk. Okay. You're not going to delete these emails. I think they're really good. And I know I have a bias,
they are.
But I actually have fun writing them. So at the minimum, get on my email list. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I've been on a LinkedIn hiatus because I've been traveling. I've been doing a ton of traveling lately, and I was like, I'm just gonna take a break. But I'm getting back on LinkedIn. So connect with me there. And then through email, I list out like all the different ways. I do one-on-one coaching. That's limited just because it's a big time commitment on my end. So I only take on a few one-on-one private clients at a time. But I've got another program called Capital Club, which is a ton of fun. So twice a month. Easy to get into, right? Very minimal investment to do that. And some other cool stuff that I'm planning for January. So plug in with me there, message me on LinkedIn. Happy to help any way that I can. And just know that I'm in the trenches with you. So I'll be sharing lessons as I go into this next raise.
That's awesome. I'm so thrilled to be connected to you, to be in your circle of folks that you're doing business with, and you just light up the room. You make me feel like I want to know more about you, know more about what you're doing. Um, I was involved in some of the conversations with the high tech deal. So I saw it from the very beginning and how it moved, and it was amazing to watch. So everybody, Keeley is an incredible woman to work with. She won't take everybody. It's got to be a good fit. That's how she runs her business. So connect with her. It truly can change your life. Seriously.
Thank you, Julie. That means a lot. I hope y'all see that when you feel like free in your business to just talk and be like fully show up as yourself, that's when people can feel that energy. And sometimes when we pitch, right, investment deals, we're like, I got to be perfect and don't mess this up. And in our effort to try to do everything right, your personality is not shining through. Your passion about your business, your conviction about the deal isn't shining through. So if you can find a way to strip those layers, you know your deal. Just get on there and have a good time. Be yourself. Talk about it. People will be drawn to that energy. They're drawn to conviction. They can tell when you believe in what you're doing.
Yeah, and that's true. And that's what attracts me to you. So thank you, Keeley. Amazing evening. I hope everybody found something that is valuable. I know Keeley, I hear you and I get your emails and I always find something. So what you're doing is really impacting me and people in the room. So keep doing what you're doing. I so appreciate it.